everybody, and welcome to Coastal Living. We're looking forward to a fantastic weekend here in the Coastal Bend. And with that said, I'm going to give you some inspiration on what to do. Let's get out of our houses and into some fun. I'll give you the scoop on all the things happening around the bend. Plus, we finally got a turtle release. Some of those cold stun sea turtles were returned to their homes, and we have some of that footage to share with you as well. And a lot of us set big goals for the new year. And if you fell off the wagon, that's okay. We've got some tips to get you back on track. So we have a lot to cover. Thank you for joining us. You're watching Coastal Living. So many of us began the new year with huge plans. Lifestyle changes, financial goals, and health goals were established to ring in the new year with excitement and endless possibilities. Usually around this time of the year is when we've lost that flair that aligns with these goals, and we may have fallen wayward in the hustle of life. That's okay. It's completely normal, and there's no reason to give up or get down on yourself. You're not alone, and making the plans is the fun part. Unfortunately, all goals come with a list of baby steps that you have to achieve to reach the finish line. More often than not, the idea of actually taking these steps becomes a burden, and we find ourselves stalling out before we even begin. So here's some inspo. This is your chance to get everything back in gear. Starting with the small steps, these might require some discomfort, sacrifice, and even kickback from the people we expect support from. No problem. Let's have a can-do attitude and reset. Anything worth having requires work and sacrifice, so let's get started. Take charge of your attitude and remember mind over matter. Map out those smaller, more achievable goals to help get you to the finish line. If you have a financial goal, take a look at your spending. Where can you sacrifice? Dining out? Impulse retail purchases? Probably. Create a strategy to put that money aside and set a daily, weekly, and monthly goal based on those numbers. When you start to see the small progress being made, it adds up and you become more motivated to stay on track. Another helpful strategy is documenting your why. Why do you want financial freedom? To save for vacation? To secure your child's college fund? Let's dive deeper. What ways will achieving that goal change your life? Is that vacation going to allow you to make lifelong memories with your children? Is that college fund going to give your child an opportunity to support their education without the stress of the student loans that you had? The deeper you dive into this category, the more effective it will be to look back on your why in times of discouragement and distress. Take at least one small step daily so that you're always making progress. And if you fall off the wagon for a few days or even a month, don't quit. It's not starting over, it's picking up where you left off. So let's get that fire burning again. Today is a day to reset, regroup, and keep going. You've got this.
Today we released 60 cold stun sea turtles, and they were all green sea turtles. And the reason for that is because the green sea turtles are the ones that primarily forage in the seagrass meadows of Laguna Madre, Aransas Bay, Copano Bay. And that water is so shallow that the temperature drops a lot faster when we have those big cold fronts like we did last week.
So when the temperatures in our bays drop below about 50 degrees and that gets sustained for more than about 24 hours, sea turtles being reptiles, their body temperature drops with the environment. So they develop a state of hypothermia. They're not really aware of their surroundings. They can't swim. They're not really conscious to lift their head to breathe.
And eventually they could potentially drown if they don't wash up on land. Once they wash up on land, they can be predated upon by coyotes. And so it's really important for them to get to a warming facility.
We can bring them back to the rehab facility. We usually warm them up on the floor, slowly bringing their body temperature up over about 24 to 48 hours. After that process, they're swim tested in tanks. Once we're sure they're swimming, doing well, coming up to breathe, they're active in the water. As soon as the water temperature out in the Gulf is about 56 degrees, we'll release them back out into the deeper Gulf waters. So they're in those deeper waters offshore where they're not going to be trapped if it gets cold again.
We have Good Samaritans from all over the coastal area, so from Cito, Parks and Wildlife. There's so many Good Samaritans that help go out and patrol those waters during these events. And you can imagine the weather was colder than it is now. Right now the air temperature is like 55 degrees. The water temperature here in the Gulf is about 62. And so we have all these partners that are permitted and trained by us to go and collect these turtles. Once they collect the turtles, they bring them to the facility where they get a blood draw to make sure that their blood glucose or their sugar levels are where they need to be. And if it's not, they give them some IV fluids. and they give them a nice warm place to stay for 24 to 48 hours. And hopefully at that time is when the Gulf waters warm up enough that they can be released here. They're released in the Gulf waters as opposed to the Bay waters because this water is obviously warmer, and it'll take them a while to find their way back. And hopefully that takes them enough time that they're not back in time for that next cold front, right? So we're still in the winter season, and if we get another cold front, we're going to be doing this all over again.
Hey, Jay's Tunnel here. Hey, this is exciting today. Look at this. We got a stone crab. I don't see these alive that often on the beach. So the fact that we're seeing it today, I don't know what that means, but we're pretty close. Oh, I'm getting all wet here. We're pretty close to the jetty in Port Aransas. They like habitats that are kind of around structure. So a jetty is where you might think that they would be. They could also be around pilings, you know, rocky outcroppings, things like that. But what's so important about these crabs, besides being real strong, is they are a major fishery. And these claws right here are what is the delicacy. Now, the body of it is not that big, and so people don't typically eat the body, but the claws, there's actually a fishery for it and a season for it. And these things they're expensive, and it's partly because they can only be harvested in certain times of the year. So mid-October to mid-May is the season, and you can only take one claw, so they can actually grow it back. If it's broken in the right place, they can quickly seal it up and begin to grow it back. If it's not broken in the right place, they could actually bleed to death, which would not be good. But this one, I don't know, it looks a little slow, although a while ago, man, that thing was trying to bite me, it seemed like. But I'm going to end up putting this thing back in. What else? They are found in the Gulf of Mexico, obviously, all the way up to Connecticut and down to Colombia in South America, and so in the Caribbean too. So you can find them around there. What eats these? You might be thinking, besides us, because we like that, right? Grouper, octopus. Those are some of the main predators to these things. What do these eat? These are mainly vegetarian. They can be vegetarian and eat seagrass and stuff, but most of the time they're not. And I'm watching out for the water here. Most of the time they're feeding on oysters, so these claws can actually bust into oysters. That's how strong they are. You don't want to get bit by one of these. It could break your bone in your finger. The other thing is they can eat mollusks, crustaceans, polychaetes, like worms. So, you know, mainly, I guess, carnivorous. We'll call it omnivorous because they eat both. But this is a real important species here. I thought y'all would get a kick out of this. Here, let's see. Can you see that? Well, you can really see the difference between other crabs, and it's the size of the claw. They have the black tips on them, and compared to the body, the claws are really large. Okay, well, I guess that's about all I got to say about it. Oh, another interesting fact is that the females, they can lay up to 1 million eggs. That's a lot of eggs, one crab. And so, you know, I think early on, the reason they came up with the fishery the way they did was that, you know, they take one claw and it grows back instead of taking the entire crab. because one crab having 1 million eggs, that's good for the population. And the claws taste so good that whenever they first started harvesting them, found out that they were good, there was a possibility that there wouldn't be any more. So my generation, if they didn't come up with these regulations, might not even have been able to enjoy seeing them and actually tasting them and eating them. So it's important that we have fishery regulations for that purpose. But okay, I thought this would be interesting. I don't think I've seen a live one here before. I'm gonna go put him back out in the water, so hopefully he survives. Okay, until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Things happening this weekend around the Bend. Beginning tonight from 5:30 to 8 p.m. It's a free event at Whataburger Field celebrating the 20th season. It's a block party presented by American Bank with our hooks. Come enjoy this free event at the ballpark and kick off the 2025 campaign with local vendors, live music by Clarissa Serna, Louis Mandel, and the Chain Links, plus food trucks and the best fireworks in town. Family friendly and free. Starting on Saturday from 10 to 5 and Sunday from 10 to 4 over at the Richard M. Borchard Fairgrounds, it's the Herps Reptile Show. My kids look forward to this every year. It's the largest and only exotic reptile and pet expo in the Coastal Bend. They have over 100 tables featuring thousands of reptiles, amphibians, insects, feeders, small mammals. You guys, I've seen it all here, and every single time I am blown away. And I almost come home with like 5 exotic animals. They have concessions on hand. You can make a whole weekend of it, so head out and enjoy. Saturday from 10 to 4, enjoy Heritage Park Market Days with over 100 vendors, food trucks, and great music. You can shop in the relaxing atmosphere at Heritage Park, and of course, check out those beautiful historic homes. Saturday from 9 to 8, the city is hosting a really cool February attraction partnership. Now, this is designed for us residents to explore the Coastal Bend a way a visitor would, right, at these tourist destinations, but you're going to get a great cost reduction. So if you're an existing member of the Art Center, Art Museum, Museum of Science and History, Botanical Gardens, Museum of Asian Cultures, Aquarium, or the Lexington, you're going to get an extra mega membership benefit during February only. You enjoy half-price reciprocal admission at any of the other attractions. You'll also get a free copy of the Corpus Christi Public Art Collection book, 10% off in 6 of the gift shops, and you'll get a 10% discount in the art classes over at the Art Center. The third bonus is a 10% discount on new memberships, so if you're looking to expand that, now is the time. Don't forget about the Sunday Fun Day Family Art Workshops over at the Garcia Arts and Education Center. Of course, you want to make reservations for that by calling 825-3600. And of course, it is your last weekend to enjoy Restaurant Week out in Port Aransas, so go out and enjoy the great deals on the delicious cuisine in Port A. Have a fun and safe weekend. Tag us in your photos at Coastal Living TV on Facebook and Instagram. We're off to a great start, but don't go anywhere. When we return, we're visiting with our friends from Due West Foundation Repair to learn a little bit about how to care for our foundation and some tips and tricks you can apply to your very own home. We'll be back with more on Coastal Living. Today we are back with our friends from Due West Foundation Repair, and today we're talking pier and beam, which I would say is a pretty good fraction of homes here in the Coastal Bend. Let's talk about maintenance, basics, and some things we may not have known about before. We've got a lot to learn.
Well, during these winter months, a lot of people, they want to close the vents that are on the side of the house. Mm-hmm. They do that because they don't want their floors to get cold and stuff like that, but it actually is not good to the overall health of the crawl space. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure we have plenty of ventilation going through there. We want to make sure we don't have any debris that's causing airflow not to go through, mm-hmm. And that kind of stuff. Another thing that we want to be watching out for is water sitting up against there. Mm-hmm. Whenever water sits up against the side of the house, it does absorb into the inside. And if you have all your vents closed, you're going to start getting a lot of humidity, mold, and moisture underneath there that will actually come up, and you'll start breathing that throughout the house.
Okay.
So we really want to make sure that we're not doing those things.
All right. And if you're in like a rental property or maybe maybe you just purchased a home, or you've been in this home for years, right? And you're like, oh, my foundation seems fine. My floors look okay up top. Is it important for us to get like regular inspections on our foundation if we live in a pier and beam home?
Yes, I would recommend annual inspections.
Okay.
Just to make sure that you're not having any kind of plumbing leaks underneath there. Make sure that you're not having any humidity. Make sure that you have the proper airflow.
Okay.
A lot of times during these winter months, people want to start adding insulation underneath there. And they want to use fiberglass insulation, which is not a good thing.
Okay.
It's actually very absorbent and will hold that moisture up against the floor. So whenever we're insulating these crawl spaces, we want to use a closed cell phone insulation.
Okay, so this isn't exactly a DIY project. You probably want to leave it to the pros. For a basic annual inspection, is that going to break the bank, or is that something that's pretty reasonable?
Actually, they're going to be free with Due West.
Oh, okay, really great. And you guys guarantee your work. Y'all have a lot of innovative strategies that you use to get into the slab foundation homes. So when you're getting into that crawl space, what are some of the other things that you're looking for when you come in for an inspection, or what are some of the most common mistakes you see that we're making besides like the fiberglass?
The biggest mistake is people closing the vents.
Okay.
That is the absolute biggest mistake. They're just not promoting any kind of airflow underneath there. You'll start to see these homes that have their wood floors buckling and stuff like that. It's all because of that. During the summer months, we're just playing catch up. I mean, we're dealing with trees, grass, shrubs, heat, everything. But during the winter months, those go dormant. So we really should be prepping that soil for the summer coming up.
Okay, good point. And again, with these water restrictions we've had, that can be difficult. So make sure you know your schedule. There are plenty of resources online with the city to find out when you can utilize that water, when you can take care of your foundation and use that drip system, which we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, Due West does have a drip system that's actually water exempt. You can actually still use it during water rationing for your foundation.
Okay, and that's something you guys can come in and install?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so beyond foundation repair, they're just trying to keep your foundation in one piece so you don't need a repair, right? So let's be preventative as well. Get those annual inspections, get the drip foundation or the drip water, right?
Irrigation system.
Irrigation, and get in touch with our friends at Due West. They're ready to take care of y'all. They're offering a free inspection. So, I mean, I don't think there's any excuses, guys. Get in touch with them and let them know you heard about them on Coastal Living. They'll make sure they take extra good care of you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Quickly approaching, and all the buzz is really about the commercials, am I right? So if you want 30 seconds during the big game, get ready to shell out some big bucks because we have a record-breaking $8 million. Now, not only is that a record, it eclipses the already record $7 million rate that Fox originally set. But as the game gets closer, the demand is getting higher and the rate has skyrocketed, just like everything else, right? So who's got the budget for that kind of advertising? Well, now we know some of the usual suspects like Pepsi and Anheuser-Busch will be advertising, but who else will we see? Well, I guess we have to tune in to find out. Here's a sneak peek at two ads you'll see. This is for Hellmann's Mayonnaise. After 35 years, this ad reunites When Harry Met Sally stars Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal. The pair having some fun with an iconic scene from their 1989 rom-com movie. If you have seen the movie, you know. The actors returned to the deli featured in the film where Ryan enjoyed a turkey sandwich with mayo. Also, there's a surprise cameo at the end. Who delivered the ending punchline? And Michelob Ultra, calling in top stars, Emmy-winning actress Catherine O'Hara and Oscar nominee William Dafoe. They play pickleball for Pilsners in a Michelob Ultra ad called The Ultra Hustle. Basically, the pair taking on pickleball players in a quest for beer. As the title suggests, they are the winners.
This is the time of year when we need a cozy warm-me-up stew more than ever. That's why I'm sharing a hearty chicken version with you rather than a traditional beef one. So what do you say we stop talking and start cooking? We start by placing a whole chicken that we've cut into eighths into a soup pot, along with some potatoes that we've quartered, a chopped onion, a good amount of water, a can each of tomatoes, and creamed corn, a bit of rice, and a few spices. After we bring everything to a boil, we let it simmer until the chicken is almost fall apart tender. Then we slowly stir in a bit of heavy cream and a handful of fresh spinach, and in minutes, It's done. It's so easy, you might feel a little guilty when you're getting all those rave reviews. And whether you serve this from the pot or put out a big bowl of it, get ready for some good eating and dunking. Between the tender chicken, the hearty veggies, and the rich sauce, this dish will warm you up through and through. To get the recipe for what we call our wintry chicken stew, check out our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a comfy, cozy way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Interested in growing your business? Coastal Living can help. Email us at advertise@coastallivingtv.com or scan the QR code on your screen for more information.
I feel like it flew by, just like the week did, just like the year is flying by. I can't believe we're already moving into February. With that said, we want you to hop back on the wagon to reach those goals. It's never too late to pick up where you left off. And of course, we want you to get out there and have a good time this weekend. So tag us in your photos at Coastal Living TV on Facebook and Instagram. If you are looking to advertise your business or you just know a total rock star here in the Coastal Bend that deserves some recognition, find us online or reach out to us at info@coastallivingtv. Have a fun and safe weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye.